have 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot. A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range 3.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome to this week's edition of the 48 Minutes Basketball Network podcast. It is play-in time, which means later this weekend it'll be playoff time. Best time of the year for basketball fans. Holy hell, those last 3 weeks of the season were long, and we just needed to get to this point. So I'm very, very, very excited to be here. Tim Daniel here, as always, with Sean Mackey, my good pal.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Sean was apparently exhausted from going to Detroit this weekend. That's a sentence no one's ever said.
Detroit what?
Yeah.
Detroit, you know what? Is a lifelong Chicago Bulls fan. I have talked enough smack about Detroit, and I ate all that smack this week. It was a very lovely city. Everyone was very nice. They have a lot of stuff to do there. Good food, great downtown area. I stayed about 2 blocks away from the Tigers Stadium. Very nice. So good place if you ever get a chance. Like it the land of RoboCop is decent.
You could have if you stayed another day, you could have gone to the Bulls Pistons game for $6.
I see that was too depressing. We were at Buddy's Pizza and we were watching the Pistons Pacers game, and I was like, God, this is just depressing.
Oh.
Watching these two bottom feeders.
Shout out the Pistons. They did tanking right, though. All right.
Yes,
and also joining us today, we have all 4 of us here today, which is pretty exciting. Mr. Ben Brown himself. What's up, pal?
Man, I'm good, man. Just coming off spring break, coming off Easter, and took a little trip down south. So got a little sun touch, a little sun kiss for a little bit. So now I'm back ready to talk NBA playoffs, man.
Yeah. So Ben, obviously for our 4th combatant on the show, you have to be the one to introduce him. So please take the floor.
Absolutely. My man, my brother.
I got a playoff entrance this week.
Yes, sir. My man, my brother, my ace buku, my number 1, Joshua. Oh, Dallas, Forellis, Montellis, Overzealous. Hayes, what's good, my brother?
Hey, you sound like you should be in the arena where Sean was talking about Detroit basketball.
It's playoff times, man. Playoff time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be talking a little bit later in the show about Detroit basketball and their projection of the lottery, but that's for much later in the show. Much later. Folks, it is postseason time in the NBA. Like I said, holy mackerel, it felt like it took forever to get here. I'm so glad that not only are the 4 of us all together for this episode, but we are just 1 day away from the NBA play-in. So let's bring up the schedule for tomorrow, shall we? All right. So if you're tuning in live on YouTube, first, thanks for joining us. Second, subscribe if you haven't already. But 2, here's what the AT&T play-in tournament looks like this week. Starting with tomorrow, Tuesday, or if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, tonight, the Atlanta Hawks will be visiting the Miami Heat at 7:30 on TNT. That's the 7-seed Miami hosting the 8-seed Atlanta Hawks, followed by the 7-seed Lakers hosting the number 8 Minnesota Timberwolves, who we'll get into, obviously have a lot of debacle. That game will be at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. I'm not even going to say our Chicago Bulls anymore just because they stink. But
Your Chicago Bulls. Don't you abandon your Chicago Bulls. You're the Pat Bev-led Chicago Bulls. Don't you dare abandon the Chicago Bulls right now. Don't you dare.
They are playing well right now, but that's not for the conversation here.
Pat Bev-led.
The number 10 40-win Chicago Bulls, which would have been competitive in the West apparently, are going across the border to play the number 9 Raptors tomorrow at 7. And then at 9:30, we have probably the worst game of the play-in. as the number 10 Oklahoma City Thunder, who somehow won more than 30 games this year. Not just more than 30 games, they won like 38 games or something. Will be taking on the number 9 seed New Orleans Pelicans. The winner of the 9-10 games will play the loser of the 7-8 games. We're like a year 3 or 4 of this. You guys know how this goes. Let's start with let's just go down the line, guys. So first game tomorrow is Atlanta and Miami. And we're talking about these two 8 seed teams we're going to talk about. Obviously have a lot of shit hanging over their head right now. Sorry for my language. But apparently there was a story that came out today, I believe it was through The Athletic, that Atlanta's ownership told the front office whatever they need to do to get better, they should do. And one of the things that was included in that conversation was potentially moving not John Collins. Shockingly, John Collins was not in this trade rumor, guys. Holy moly, sound the alarm. But one Mr. Trae Young was discussed as potentially being moved. Look, we'll get into that. I know that's going to be something that hangs over their head. I highly doubt we even get to that situation, honestly. But regardless, I think the Heat just destroy them tomorrow. I know a lot of people were like, well, the Heat beat him a couple times and the Hawks got a win there in the season, but it's like, that doesn't matter anymore. I've never once looked at like a regular season, except for, if the Lakers end up playing the Clippers, then yeah, I'm taking the Clippers all day. But other than that, they have to be the Western Conference Finals for that to happen. But other than that, I know the Heat can't score, but they can out-defend everybody. And you're stacking the deck against Jimmy Butler in a 1-win game, like a 1-game playoff series. That's probably the guy I want the most because he's going to will his whole team and put them on his back. I bet Jimmy Butler scores about 24 points tomorrow. I bet the Heat win this game by about 8 points.
It was very specific.
I was going to say, I was going to say he was going to get over 30, somewhere like 31, 33. But yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tim. The Hawks team is a team that didn't even want to win, but won anyway. There's trouble in the front office. They're changing coaches. There's all kinds of turmoil. They really didn't want to be here. And I think this Miami team, like you said, one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I think they do win by anywhere from 6 to 10 points. And I think Jimmy Butler has a big game. I think Bam Adebayo has a big game.
Oh yeah.
And I think that this Miami team will be moving on.
Here's I don't even know how to go about this because there's been so many memes that have been funny about the Atlanta Hawks. But adding salt to the wound. I'm just looking. So they're 41-41.
Mm-hmm.
They are 8-8 against their division. They are 26-26 against the conference. They score 118 points a game and give up 118 points a game. And they are 5-5 in their last 10.
The epitome of average. Yes. Wow. Wow.
That's
Josh,
hilarious.
I love when you get on here and you just lay down some facts for us, man. You always have something fun for us every week.
So they were playing the Celtics yesterday, and obviously the game didn't mean anything. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, I was like, well, they get in. I was like, they probably have the best chance right now of actually making the playoffs out of any of the teams that I don't think are going to make it, because they can lose this game, right? And then they could win the next game, and they're the 8th seed, which still puts them at 500. So I'm with you guys. I was like, I don't see them beating the Heat. I don't see them beating the Heat because they are just incredibly just mid. That's all I can say about them. They're just mid.
I love it.
They're apparently somehow they'll be able to turn a 7-game series into an 8-game series and go 4-4 in that series to have to play another game. But I don't know. When we get to talk about this later, I don't know. The Hawks could very easily, again, lose to the Heat, beat whoever wins the other game. I don't know. I just know that when we talked about it earlier, all of us pretty much had our money on the Heat because we feel like the Heat have the best player when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, we saw what Butler did in the finals against the Lakers.
One of my
Even though
favorite
half
games
his
ever.
team was injured, and he
Mhm.
still tried to put that team on his back. So you're telling me it's a one-game scenario of I make the playoffs or I don't, which both of those teams get to play a second game if they lose. But I'm thinking the Heat. The only other way I go with Atlanta is if the Heat are playing for the 8th seed and want to play Milwaukee, which I do not see that happening.
Who would want to play?
Although they
Milwaukee?
fared well against
Right,
Milwaukee
yeah.
in the past in the playoffs, I think that at this point they would much rather see Boston than they would Milwaukee. So I don't see them losing.
We know for a fact Boston will not be rooting for Miami to win because they do not want to play.
Yeah, they don't want. Yeah,
Oh,
they don't
no,
They
want
do not
absolutely.
want that.
No.
That's
they
a
don't
better
want them
matchup for
problems at all.
Miami. That is a better matchup for Miami playing them.
Yeah.
I still think Boston would win, but Miami is going to give them everything if that's the case.
Yep. I agree with
Absolutely.
that.
Shawnee, you have
Atlanta-
any thoughts?
Atlanta is mid. They're another team that's just riding the rails of mediocrity, and they're like the Bulls, they're like the Raptors. There's just so many teams right now that I feel like are just like make a freaking move, get better or get worse. Like
Mhm.
just hang it.
Atlanta
This
is
was
mid.
not the year to be mid
Yeah.
for any team. This was a year, if you were going to suck, at least be good at sucking like the Detroit Pistons were, or the Orlando Magic, who had some fun and also sucked at the same time. You know?
they were sucky, but
No.
fun.
No, but they
They
were
were sucky, but
fun,
fun.
you know.
They were.
But
I agree.
Detroit embraced it though, but like the Atlanta Hawks right now, it's like I mean, someone's gonna want Trae Young. Someone's
Yes.
gonna want him. I don't
Yep.
know who. He'll probably end up in Chicago. It'll probably happen.
Yeah,
But
probably.
you know, I just you guys hit it all on the head. Miami's gonna. There's no way that they're losing this game. They're just too competitive. Jimmy Butler's not going to lose to the freaking Atlanta Hawks in a play-in. It's just not going to happen.
Here's how much people are not confident in the Hawks right now. So Miami is 5.5-point favorite. That's a big spread for a playoff
Yeah.
game.
Big spread.
The public bet on Caesars is still 54% the Heat. No one is taking the chance of the underdog.
Oh wow.
Wow.
The highest public bet right now is 74% on the Heat money line, which means they don't even care about points. They're just taking the Heat to win.
They're just
Like-
taking the Heat to win.
You don't win money on that. They're like,
Yeah.
nope, whatever. Like, we're just gonna.
Yeah.
They're probably putting in like a 2-game parlay in the Lakers Minnesota game or something. But I will say the public bet is also going the under at 51%, which I can totally see that being an under game because Atlanta sucks and Miami's not a good scoring team. My curiosity about Miami, because I think they're going to win, obviously, like we've talked about. Where's the cutoff with their bench? This is kind of the point of that year. Like we talked about this last month now with these teams. So do they cut Kevin Love out of their rotation? Do they cut Plumlee out of their rotation? Like where is... Yeah, I'm with you, Josh. I see you shaking your head there, but like you can't take Gabe Vincent out. He's been tremendous.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, as bad as he's been in a Heat jersey, is probably one of the guys you probably trust the most in this situation, right? Like this is a guy that's won a championship. Bam and Jimmy, like you said, like you mentioned earlier, Josh, those guys have been to the finals and are the only team ever to beat the Lakers in the Mamba Day jerseys. The only team ever. Notice the Lakers have not worn them since that game, but which was 3 seasons / 2 calendar years ago.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
yeah.
So where the
Mamba
Heat kind of
jerseys.
where the Heat like cut their branch off is going to be interesting because I think that's going to be really important too for when they play Boston. You're going to obviously want Kevin Love out there for stretching the floor purposes, even though he's not even what he was last year in Cleveland when he just had that
Right.
a huge resurrection year. But yeah, I think like we said, I think Miami wins this one big. And on the to keep that theme going, with all the stuff we've been hearing these last couple of days between Rudy Gobert getting upset for being called a bitch and punching a teammate in the shoulder, and Jaden McDaniels getting pissed off and punching a wall and breaking his hand. Minnesota back to being Minnesota in no time, folks. So I know some people were like, I was like reading some stuff today and they're like, well, well, Minnesota did beat the Lakers this year. And I was like, yeah, and their point guard in that game now plays for the Lakers. So
Right.
what's your
Yep.
point? So this is another game where like I think these two games are not going to be very good games. The Lakers are going to this game tomorrow 8-point favorites. And I don't
It's
know
up to 8 now.
It's up to 8 now as of like when we started recording.
Oh my gosh.
This is like I know what we just said about Jimmy Butler, but it's also like hey, this is a 1-game series and you have LeBron James thing going too.
Yeah.
So who just, by the way, when he was like, we have a must-win game or we need to make sure we have a home game in the play-in, I'll just drop 39.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. he's capable to turn it on whenever he wants. So and
Yeah.
he's going to Timberwolves. Oh, what a mess. What a mess.
That's putting it nicely, Sean. Jeez.
I know.
That's putting it
it's-
nicely.
Like
Ugh.
how
Many
does this
points? Go ahead, John.
I hate this team.
I
hate
know.
them.
I do too.
Like they got Rudy Gobert, which on paper made sense at the beginning of the season. It's like, okay, this guy's gonna come in, he's gonna rebound the ball, Cat's gonna spread the floor. Yeah, they had D'Lo at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
They still have Ant-Man, doing damage, who is the only player that I'll be completely honest with you, I like on this roster. Like I'm all out on Cat. Rudy Gobert, bye.
Yeah,
know.
because I like Mike Conley on other teams, but I don't like him on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, this is just it's bad, and you're going up against a fired up Lakers squad, and they're starting to
Figure
fire
it
on all
out.
cylinders right now.
Mhm.
D'Lo has been great for them. LeBron's back. I'm sure his foot's still hurting. I'm sure he's playing through pain.
Yeah.
Even though he did see the LeBron James of foot doctors.
What a sentence. By the way, I want to make sure because we didn't get to touch on this last week. Still laughing hysterically at when they lost to the Clippers. He said, "We really struggled because we had a road game." Like just
Now, see,
amazing.
Here's the thing, like, even if you'd have just said, hey man, we had a back-to-back, Lakers had 3 days off.
Sure.
Like I would have been like, you know what, LeBron? I'll give you that one. You know what I mean? You complain
changed-
about having a road game in your
Own
own
building.
facility. Like you said, Tim, you slept in your own bed, drove your own car to the stadium. Like, you can't complain about that.
Just amazing. Just fantastic. How many points would Minnesota need Anthony Edwards to score tomorrow to win this game? 50?
46.
50, 55, 60. Cat
Yeah.
having 40.
Yeah, you're probably because in this situation they're going to be in tomorrow. So I assume Kyle Anderson
Conley
guards
needs
LeBron.
30.
Yeah. So Kyle Anderson probably guards LeBron in this game, right?
Yes.
Has
And
to.
then-
Yeah.
Then Cat's going to guard Anthony Davis.
Correct.
Cat can't guard anything.
So that means that like Taurean Prince and Jerry Vanderbilt are battling for rebounds.
Yep.
Who I don't know if there's been a better like on the block rebounder since the trade deadline since Jerry Vanderbilt. It's been amazing watching him. do what he does.
No.
Yeah. What a get.
Austin Reeves probably guards Anthony Edwards, which offensively I obviously give Edwards the advantage there. But that's one hell of a that's
Right.
if there's a guy you want guard him in that game, it's him. And then you have
That's-
D'Angelo
yeah.
Russell,
So
Mike Conley.
So in the short history of the play-in, so what are we in, year 3?
You're
Year 4?
again, the bubble threw everything off. So this is the 4th season, but 3rd calendar year.
Yeah, so we'll just go third year. I'll take out the bubble. I've
Yeah.
never been more sure about a team winning a play-in game than the Lakers winning this game.
Me too.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, as soon as they were like Rudy Gobert stayed home, you're like, Vanderbilt broke his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
they're probably looking at. So they're probably looking at the case of like, well, we can lose this game, and we'll have
Could get
Gobert
good.
back for the next one. Where Oklahoma City, if they somehow get past New Orleans, has no rim protection whatsoever. Josh Giddey was their leading rebounder this year. I don't know if you guys knew this. Or not.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that one. So here's my question, Tim. Like, and I mean, is it feasible for them just to sit Cat and sit Anthony Edwards and just say, we know this is going to be a wash, and just go hard after the 8 seed in that second game? I mean,
you could.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I know they won't because that'll lead to an investigation and all the other stuff. I get that, but like in theory, though, like you won't have Gobert, which I mean, take it or leave it. You already know you're not going to have McDaniel. Why not prepare yourself for the next game and assure yourself that hopefully that you'll play well enough to get the 8th seed?
it would be like an Alex Rodriguez owned team to tuck their tail and run, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I'll be better in game 4, guys.
I'll be better, right? Yeah, I'll
I
get
know
it together.
I know
We're
I went
good.
0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts tonight,
Yeah,
but
we're good.
tomorrow I'll be fine. Yeah,
Tim, we take our problems and we shoo them away.
yeah.
We just shoo them away. We're good. We're
Yeah.
good.
To see your point, they won't do it. Obviously,
Yeah. I know they won't.
that's a
but I'm
terrible
like,
thing for your fan base. But what
Yeah.
you're saying, I don't think you're wrong. I think look, I know Chris Finch. I think Chris Finch is a good coach. Honestly, I do like him.
yeah.
What he did with that team the year before with all those guys was pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, I think in this situation, like,
Middle of the third, down 15.
yeah, pack it in. You got a home game the next matchup.
You know what I mean? You got a home game
Yeah.
next matchup. You got OKC coming in, who's got to travel. Like, I'm not saying that they will or they won't, but
Sure. Yeah. So check out the betting odds on this one here. All right, this is the same thing. Oh my God, people just don't want to win money on this. So
yeah.
the Lakers opened up at 5.5-point favorites, and is now up to 8. Like we said, public bet 70% on the Lakers. No one's taking Minnesota. Money line, public bet 83% on the Lakers.
Wow.
And this is another one where people are taking the under at 60%. I don't know. The over-under is 231.5. I could see the Lakers winning this game like 129 to like 111.
Yeah.
I could see it being one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The Lakers can't really shoot threes. Maybe I'm overselling it. But yeah, I think we're all kind of in general consensus here. I think Anthony Davis is going to eat tomorrow because he's heard all the shit all these NBA podcasters have talked. And he's like, look, I've made my case for all NBA this year, and I'm going to do my thing tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and the little bit of rim protection that you had is now gone, and you've got guys that are playing downhill. Your Reeves,
that's
your
a great
Vanderbilt,
point.
your LeBron James. Like you lost your rim protection. You lost one of your better defenders in McDaniel, and now you've got LeBron, you've got Reeves, you've got Vanderbilt, you got D'Lo. All these guys play downhill with no rim protection, and Cat as your 5.
How would you guys feel though if Minnesota was full tilt though?
I still think the Lakers would win, but I would probably say it's more like 7 points.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because they were 2-1 against the Lakers in the season, and Minnesota was also 3-1 against OKC, and they were 2-1 against New Orleans.
Yeah.
They
No,
had a winning
I
record
would
against
feel
all 3 teams.
I would feel
But
better. Yeah.
how many of those games did they have with a different roster?
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Like-
so like,
Yeah. I would feel
OKC's roster
better.
hasn't really changed.
no, they haven't, but Minnesota's has quite a bit.
Yeah. Like
But
I
like,
would feel better. I would feel better if they had Gobert and McDaniels, but I still think the Lakers will win because I do think the X factor is D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think that he's the guy that's kind of, his distribution of the basketball, being able to score, and kind of do those little things that other guys really couldn't. I think that makes a difference. Also, like we talked about before, I think Vanderbilt has been a huge difference for them. I mean, I think he plays well defensively. He's been a rebounder, and he's been a guy that's kind of done that at, a la dirty work, like most championship teams have. They've found that guy in Vanderbilt. So I do think it would be a closer game, but I still think the Lakers would win.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. So we'll get into obviously this from there. Let's talk real quick about the 9-10 games. So starting, I'll bring the schedule back up real quick. So starting with Chicago at Toronto. Josh, why you look mad at me?
Just the fact that you're about to say Chicago.
Oh, okay.
your Pat Bev led Chicago Bulls. Say it right now.
By the way, the Tampa Bay Rays won again. They're 10-0,
10-0, baby.
Oh my
Crazy.
God.
Ooh, I just came across.
So the Bulls go to Toronto, and I know we're all going to find ways to use this to criticize the Bulls. But I'm going to ask this simple question. This is not like a fuck Garpax, fuck Billy Donovan, go to hell, everybody kind of thing. This is legitimately my real basketball question.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't the Bulls win this game? Why is everything like I would pick Toronto, but look at how the Bulls have played, and Ben jokes about it. But since Pat Bev came in, they love games like this. They love games where no one believes in them. And Zach LaVine has shot like a freaking superstar for a month now. And look, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like we've talked about since they did nothing at the deadline, since they didn't blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I think they got into the play-in by default because all the teams underneath them were doo-doo.
Yes.
Case in point, the Washington Wizards.
Correct.
But why can't they win this game? Like, who are you looking at this game besides Siakam that you're like Scotty Barnes has not had a very good sophomore year?
Yeah.
No,
They're going to win.
He hasn't.
That's the problem. They
I
are
think
going
they're going
to win.
I think they're going to win.
Oh, I definitely had the Bulls winning this one. I'm not joking around. Like when this came out, I was like, yeah, the Bulls legit have two legit scores. LaVine's playing better. DeRozan's still DeRozan.
Kobe White off
Vucevic
the
is
bench
playing
has been
better.
scoring.
Kobe White's been playing better. Pat Bev, and like I said, I know I joke about it, but Pat Bev has been a difference maker for them. Like he's done some things that have really helped them, and sometimes it's just a mentality, right? Like Pat Bev is a guy that's going to will it. He's already said it. I will teams to the playoffs. I help them win games.
That dude is like, I don't miss the playoffs.
Right? Like like I said, I'm not. I know I joke about it, but I'm like, I would definitely pick the Bulls to win this game. Sean, why are you looking in disbelief? Why are you out on Pat Bev, Sean? Tell me why you mad.
He's not. He's feeling the same thing I am. He's feeling the same thing I am. I'm telling you.
Hey, when I realized
Toronto was going to fall to the 9 spot, I was like, man, I like Toronto in the play-in, except for if they play the Bulls, because the Bulls will F around and figure out a way to win a game that they shouldn't win. Only for us to get into the first round and play the Bucks, right?
This is the
swept.
legitimate worst case scenario.
Wait, do you think the Bulls would beat?
League.
Do you think the Bulls would beat the Hawks?
Yeah.
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah, I think they'd beat the Hawks. The one thing I don't know. I don't like Chicago walking into Toronto. They haven't won there since October of 2021. It's a historically hard place for them to play. I think Toronto's gonna. What are you talking? Don't give me.
They were in Tampa Bay. They were in Tampa Bay.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Couldn't play in Canada 2021, Sean.
You know what? That's a fun fact. You're right. You're right. You got me, Tim. I still don't like them going up there. I don't know. Toronto fans bring it though, man. I mean, they're hardcore. They're hardcore up there, man. And
that they do.
Look, the Bulls have the two best players in that game. I'm not gonna discredit that. They do. I like both of them more than Siakam. I like both of them more than Scotty Barnes. Okay? I like them more than Fred VanVleet. But I don't know. I feel like them losing out in a play-in is the way that this is going to end.
Hey, real quick, guys. Do you know who has the most wins in Toronto in the playoffs? Ever? Like total amount? DeMar DeRozan.
That's
Oh.
true. You know what?
He does still
I
run
need-
he still runs the 6. He still
you know-
runs the 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I've discredited everything. I didn't even plug in the actual, still bitterness of that guy going into Toronto and giving them, because every time he
Mhm.
plays up there, he gives it to him. He gives
Yep.
it to him. And as he should.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I
he
don't know.
should.
Yeah, he should.
Nick
guys have
Nurse is already
convinced
talking
me.
like he doesn't want to be there anymore. Like Nick Nurse is like, I'm gonna think about my options. That's never
Mhm.
I'm coming back, guys.
That's never good.
Yeah.
It's never
Yes,
I'm
Never
coming back.
good.
Yeah, and then
And
on the
people are gonna want him too, man.
I would want him. I
Yeah,
like
oh,
Billy Donovan.
Absolutely.
Gosh,
So-
yeah.
Toronto is 5-point favorites right now. Just so we kind of, if we're keeping tabs on everything. Public bet on that is 64% on the Raptors. So, but the over is the biggest bet at 52%. So I could definitely see that being an over game. I think Kobe White, just the way he shot lately, is going to be so big for the Bulls. And again, I hate that I'm talking like this because I want to be talking about the Bulls like getting their pick back from the Magic, which we're not going to be talking about, but that's where we are. So on the other end, we have in the 9-10 game on the West, New Orleans hosting OKC. And we joked about OKC winning this game, but dude, I don't know. I just think New Orleans, even though they stink, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, I just think those two are going to be too much.
Yeah. I agree with that. I like that team even without Zion. I like that team. It does suck that he's not healthy again.
So much.
Because I hate it just being a basketball fan, not being able to see Zion in the playoffs. But I do like the structure of that team. Like I am a big Brandon Ingram guy. I really think that he even with the shadow of Zion, he comes and plays and plays incredible. So yeah, no, I agree with you, Tim. I like the Pelicans.
Brandon Ingram's tough. He is so tough.
Yeah, man. So good.
But
Yeah,
they lost to Minnesota, man. Like
at the game, they had a big lead.
yeah, like how does that even happen? In Minnesota, like they sat Gobert, Vanderbilt broke his hand, and they still lost the lead in that game and lost. And I tell you what, I've got to watch OKC play in person twice.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that OKC is a better team, but I am telling you that team is so loaded with young talent that it is insane. And all they need to do is mature a little bit, and they are going to be a problem. Their roster is already built for them to be a problem. And getting Chet back next year, Shea having another year under his belt, the Williams boys having another year under their belt, Lou Dort,
He's amazing.
they are going to have a problem. They are going to be a problem for years to come if they keep that nucleus together. And then, Lord forbid, somehow, some way, they end up figuring out a way to get into the top tier of that draft to get another piece that just makes them even better.
They are definitely.
Well, they got all the. Don't they have all those like draft picks stored? Like they
Tons.
still
Yeah,
have
like
a ton of draft picks,
14,000.
right? Yeah,
They're definitely the team best set up for the future asset wise. Gillen Williams was a total diamond in the rough that they just dropped in their lap, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this guy's gonna like be the steals champion in the NBA in like 2 years." But yeah, I just it comes down to in the games like this, like Ben talked about, there's gonna be a lot of downhill drive-in dish basketball here, and OKC has no one to make it a dish situation. So, I just feel like McCollum getting downhill, getting to his spots isn't going to be an issue. But I love that. I'm excited to see Shea and Josh Giddey in a do or die game. I think that they'll show up, and I think Jalen Williams will be good too. But it just comes down to after those three, that's where it gets kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to pick New Orleans. Josh does bring up really good points to make me not as confident as I was when I clicked the record, but I'm going to stick with it for now.
I like New Orleans. I think they got it. You guys are spot on with this. So
Y'all remember earlier in the season though when this team did have Zion.
They were awesome.
So good.
They were rolling. They were
up to what?
That one guy.
Yeah, they were the 2 seed.
Yeah.
They were
rolling.
the 2.
It just goes to show you how much of an impact he makes on the floor.
Yeah. I think like 18 games of the year, weren't the Jazz like the 1 seed? Like
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like them a lot for the future too. I think that Danny Ainge once again worked his magic. But for the love of God, they did not win the Donovan Mitchell trade. Stop saying it. That did not happen. The Cavs had home court advantage in the playoffs. Piss off.
I'm not going to say they didn't win the trade, but I think there were more things that happened throughout the season that just took them out of commission. You know, there were more trades involved that they lost players. They were taken apart at the wrong time. Like I think that they would have made the playoffs. I really do. Had they just left their roster intact.
I mean, they were 39 and 43.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite meme that showed up yesterday after the Rudy Gobert punch, someone had put right underneath of it. Someone had the video and someone just put Walker Kessler would have blocked it. That was perfect. That was perfect.
I'm a big Walker Kessler guy.
Can I ask you guys
absolutely.
Can I ask you guys a question seriously about that specific incident, right? Because it happened on the sideline and not that it was as severe as some of the other things that we've seen in basketball, but like he threw this like little sissy punch and it like hit Anderson in the chest. He was like, right? And he was like, and then that was kind of the end of it. But let's say that he would have connected like kind of in the upper torso, like towards his chin or his jaw or whatever. And it was on live TV. Everybody saw it. Like, why is it not getting the same amount of backlash that like what Draymond Green got? And I'm asking this because I'm sitting back now and I'm thinking about all the things that ever happened in basketball, like Gilbert Arenas and what's his name pulling guns on each other, and Jordan Sock and Steve Kerr in the face. Okay, you're right. Allegedly. And
we have an LLC now, but I still don't want to get sued.
Kobe and Shaq getting into it, and dudes getting on fights on an airplane, and like Draymond Green just got drugged through the mud for what? Like something that's happened 100 times over in practice, whatever you want to call it, right? And you know they're like, oh, he disrupted this. Like, how is that not the same thing?
Draymond won the day. You're 1,000% right. When Draymond, so Rudy Gobert after the Draymond Jordan Poole fight tweeted something like, and then so after this happens, Draymond tweeted the exact same thing.
Yes, he did.
So you're right, Josh. You're 1,000% right.
Do you guys think that Rudy Gobert may be like one of the most hated players in basketball?
Oh yeah.
Oh, 1,000%.
Not just by players. I don't like him at all.
No,
Yeah,
no.
1,000%.
You rarely see fans going out and just going, "Let's go, Rudy. Let's go," because he's so boring.
Rudy.
But
let's go, Rudy.
but like this guy, I mean, after the whole like starting COVID and the NBA thing. Like, I think we've all kind of like we've just like forgotten about that, but that was like a really, really big deal at the time. That happened, and all the beef with Donovan Mitchell that he had, and then, getting traded. They traded an arm and a leg for this guy. I mean, they were so confident. I mean, the assets that they gave to the Jazz were just absurd for this player. And now this season ends. You're not even in the top 3 of your conference when you have the talent to do so on paper. You do. And now you're in a play-in, and the guy that you traded all your assets for isn't playing because he was suspended because he punches another player. I mean, has an NBA season ended this badly before? I mean, this is bad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Brutal.
It's brutal.
Why would you like this team? Why would anybody like this team?
Yeah, you notice when you like watch like teams that go Bears on when they play in the home crowd, you never see number 27 jerseys.
No,
never see them.
If I was Anthony Anthony Edwards. Said Anthony Bennett for a minute. I'm like,
Ooh.
oh my God. Ooh.
Very
Andrew
different.
Brees.
Very
Ooh,
contrasted.
very different. But I look at him, man. Like, I would be like, get me off of this island. Get me off of this island. I am not going to die here like Cat and Rudy Gobert. Like, there's no, you don't win titles. You don't win championships there in Minnesota. It just doesn't happen. It's like they got that George Mikan statue out front that's just cursing everybody for moving to LA. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were a part. Us three were a part of Bobby Portis punching what's his name in his face and
Mirotic.
breaking his eye socket. I mean,
Yeah, Mirotic.
that's nowhere
Yeah.
near the degree of what Draymond Green did.
Yeah.
No, it's man,
Yeah.
I forgot about that, Josh.
I also forgot
I
about
remember
Nikola
Alec-
Mirotic.
Mirotic, I was gonna say Mirotic.
Yeah, Mirotic, there it is. I remember Tony Allen punching OJ Mayo in the mouth, like busting his mouth open. Like, there's so many things I can remember that has happened that like trump what Draymond did. And, you know, because it was a video taken that got leaked, right? And like put on the weather, like, oh my goodness, I can't. The Warriors are the good boys. Like, none of this stuff should ever happen. Like, man, we don't know.
was a scandal.
Steph Curry might be a straight gangster in practice, man. We just don't know.
Well, Jordan Poole said after I signed my extension, you guys can come swim in my Jordan Poole pool. So we've been through this.
It's so dumb yet so funny. Like,
It's so dumb.
come swim in my Jordan pool. Why do I laugh at that? That's hilarious.
I do too. Real quick, just because we went a little longer on this. So we have all been in unison in all these picks. So Bulls, Hawks. I'm taking the Bulls. I don't like it, but I am. And I think I will probably take and Minnesota, New Orleans. Gobert will be back. I will probably take New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So New
Yeah.
Orleans
Touche.
in, huh?
Yeah. New Orleans going to Denver. God, if they had Zion back, that'd be such a fun series.
So fun.
All right. So if you all start keeping up to understand, like, well, how these teams win and where they go, here's the playoff bracket real quick for those tuning in on YouTube. If you're not, so obviously the winner of the 7-8 game gets the 7 seed. The winner of the 9-10 game will play the loser of the 7-8 game. So that's how we broke all that down. And the winner of the 9-10 loser 7-8 game, whoever wins that game goes on to be the 8 seed. I feel like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover and that scene when he's counting cards and all the numbers are going around his head.
Going around his head.
Every time I explain that. But here are the series we do know for a fact. So in the East, we have the number 4 seed Cavs against the number 5 seed Knicks. That could not have worked out better for Cleveland because they're phenomenal at home and not so good on the road. So I do think the Cavs win that game because they would have a game 7 at the Q. I think that would just be there for them. Philadelphia, Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn's going to be scrappy. I just don't think they're going to have enough. This is Embiid's MVP year. This is why you get James Harden and Tyrese Maxey. I think Philly wins that one. And on the other end, and I'll let you guys talk about this. I'm not trying to take the whole segment by any means. But on the other end, Golden State, Sacramento is interesting because Golden State cannot win on the road, but there's obviously the pedigree of what they've done for about a decade now. And Sacramento has been really fun, and I do think they're really good. I keep going back and forth on who I think will win this series. And then Kawhi Leonard versus Kevin Durant in a playoff series. Yes, is the answer. Who wins that one?
Indeed.
The
Wait,
fans.
And how long is Paul George out for?
Josh, you know,
They're saying that he might not be back unless the Clippers win this series.
Really?
They're not expecting him back this series. Yeah, they said the earliest I think he'll be back is the second round, which I don't know if they make it out of the first round without him.
I'm taking KD all the way on this.
Yeah.
me too.
So for you guys to kind of understand this, right now, going into the playoffs, the Bucks are the favorites at plus 240. Then it goes the Celtics at 370, the Suns at 460, and then Golden State at 750, which puts them above the Nuggets and the Sixers. And I think a big piece of that is that they have announced that they will have Andrew Wiggins for the playoffs. I don't know if he plays game 1. But from what I'm understanding, they're trying to get his conditioning up to make sure that he's ready to go back on the floor. I say this. They showed the stat this year. Golden State starting five with Wiggins was the best starting five in basketball. That five with Looney, Wiggins, Curry, and
the court, the three,
yeah,
the court
big
three.
Clay and Green. Yes, on the court. Yeah, those three on the look. I don't care about their road record at that point with Wiggins back on the floor. I say they're a whole different team. He brings the dynamic that they don't have. He's a defensive stopper on one end. He can score when he needs to on the other end. I feel like he'll get his legs back underneath him, and that makes them a whole different ball game team. And a team like Sacramento playing them on the road, that's nothing. So I think that becomes really interesting if they go into a series and they got to play Phoenix.
So they would play.
Oh God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, because Golden
That would
State would
be
play the
amazing.
winner of Memphis and the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that could be a very interesting series.
Yes, it could be.
And we'll get to that in a second here. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Josh, that's very valid. I don't really worry about their road record here per se, but I do worry about, how much do they have left here? And some nights it's the Golden State Warriors.
I think they're all healthy. I don't think they're fatigued at all. I really don't.
Some nights it looks like a Donald Foyle's playing center for them.
Here's the thing. How many games did Curry miss this year?
Very nice, Josh. Very nice.
How many games did Curry miss this year?
What, 12?
He missed way more than that.
Oh, did he? I don't really.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm
just
not really
saying,
sure,
like,
honestly.
27?
He's fresh leg. Wiggins, fresh leg. Clay, he missed some games. Like they're green. Like they're the only guy. Looney played every game, and Jordan Young's 18 years old. So, like they're. I think that they're probably in a good spot right now where their guys are just fresh going into the playoffs.
And
They
Jonathan Kuminga is coming on really strong right now.
Well, you got Kuminga, and then you've got Gary Payton. He's back now too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got him for the playoffs. So, yeah, here's the thing. Sacramento has not made the playoffs since what, 2005, 2004? When was it the last time they made it? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was
Then-
4.
Yeah.
2004.
2004.
Because they lost to the Peyton Malone Lakers.
Yep.
Yeah. So this team is super young, fresh-faced dudes that are going to go out there. And Sacramento has been real all season.
Yeah.
But and here's the thing. If the King, this is not going to be an easy out for the Kings at all. There's no it's not going to be easy either way. But if the Kings are able to, this young team able to beat the Golden State Warriors with their three guys, it's really something. Like that's going to build their confidence, and I would be scared to play them throughout the rest of the playoffs if they went through the Golden State Warriors. But I don't know, man. I'm with Josh here. I just feel like they're all healthy at the right time right now. If Wiggins comes back and just can go out there and do what he does, and I'm hoping he can, this could be a huge upset. So
Yeah, and they don't even need him to score early on. They just need him to get himself back, his legs back underneath him.
Defense. Yeah.
Curry missed 26 games, Tim, and Wiggins has missed 45 games.
That plays a part. It certainly plays a part. Yeah. So let's any other playoff series real quick. I definitely pick Phoenix to beat the Clippers, but I'm excited to see it. And I think it comes down to Chris Paul versus Russell Westbrook. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on. I do like the Clippers as far as their roster. I don't like their team name or what they represent.
Their team name? God, what a dumb name, the Clippers.
I think like
Stupid
60% of the NBA is stupid team names at this point, right?
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
So, Cavs Knicks, I think it's the most fun series because I
Yeah.
really don't know how to pick it. I really could see the Knicks winning. I could see the Cavs winning. Well, without Randall.
I was going to say, I hope Julius Randle's healthy. That's my only.
Yeah.
He's trying to come off an ankle injury. I mean, I don't have any doubt that he's going to play, but how effective he'll be. Hopefully, he gets healed enough to be able to be the Julius Randle he was for the last 30 games or so of the season, which was really fun to watch. But between him and Jalen Brunson, who's been incredible, that should be a fun series. I mean, those two, Garland, Mitchell, it's going to be a really fun series. I think the Cavs will win it, but I do think it'll be a fun series.
Yeah. If there is no Julius Randle for like 1 to 3 games, Evan Mobley is going to be unfreaking believable in this series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So I had you guys do this fun exercise with me today because instead of doing the whole, like, I'm going to pick this team to win the title, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, like everyone's doing, I had you guys do this in a point system for confidence level, 10 obviously being the highest in confidence, 1 being the lowest. And so I wanted to go through it. I brought each guys up here real quick. Josh, we're starting with you. Just to run down it real fast without taking too long. You went Suns, Warriors, Lakers, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Kings, Clippers, Pelicans, Thunder, Minnesota. At the East, you went Milwaukee, Philadelphia over Boston, Cleveland, New York, Miami, Toronto, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Chicago. So obviously the big question I'm going to ask you about is why higher on the Sixers than the Celtics?
The last couple weeks of the season, watching Embiid play and watching Harden play and watching Maxey play, I feel like when the game comes down on the line, I have more faith in Joel Embiid than I do Tatum.
Sure.
At this point. And I really like how Philly's roster fits. And I think they built themselves probably the best they've ever did. My only problem is if this goes to like a point where they have to play a 7-game series and those two play each other, Doc Rivers becomes the X factor.
Yeah.
But that's it. At the beginning of the season, man, I really was like Jason Tatum's ascending, and then like he just had these like parts of the season where he just like flaked out, and then it was like Jaylen Brown took over, and I'm like, man, is Jaylen Brown really the guy on this team? And then Tatum's like, no, it's me, and then Jaylen Brown's like, no, it's me, and there's no question that Embiid's the guy, period. And even Harden said Embiid's the guy. I can lead the league in assists with this guy playing with me. Like, I'm cool with it. So
he's in Houston next year again.
So yeah, that's why I did that. And even though I put the Bulls last, I did it because I'm just pissed off at them. I didn't do it for any other reason. My confidence level in them has more to do with them winning games at this point. So that's why I put them that's my least favorite.
I get it.
Trying to will them to losses, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm with you, buddy.
All right, so Ben went a little different than us as well. So his Western Conference was Suns, Nuggets, Warriors, Clippers, Kings, Grizzlies, Lakers, Thunder, Pelicans, Timberwolves, Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland as his third most confident in the East, which you're speaking my language. Philadelphia, New York, Brooklyn, Toronto, Miami, Atlanta, and Chicago. So Ben, you had the Nuggets at 9, which they are the 1 seed. You're the only one of us that had them that high, mind you. And you had the Cavs as your third most confident team in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Explain yourself, sir.
I really like that Nuggets team for some reason. I like the pieces that they have. Nikola Jokic, a possible 3-time MVP. I just don't think they have enough defense or scoring to be better than the Suns. On the East side, I just don't have, and I know we laughed about this earlier. I just have very little faith in Doc Rivers. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I like 76ers. I like Joel Embiid. Harden's playing well. Maxi's playing well. I like Tobias Harris. I like all those guys. I really do. But I think when it comes down to it, I just like the young core nucleus of Cleveland better. I like Mobley. I like Garland. I think Mitchell is a stud. All those guys, Jared Allen's a stud. I think all those young guys and the depth they have, I just feel like they're in a little bit better position than the 76ers. I also think their coach's better too. Because like I said, I'm not a big Doc Rivers hater, but it's been a proven fact that he has struggles coaching in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. I just have this feeling that Donovan Mitchell is going to absolutely love playing in Madison Square Garden in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I just think that, you guys could have had me, and he's going to
Yeah.
use that
Oh,
against
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the stage too. I mean, any
Yeah.
basketball player that's been a star, one of their goals is going off in the Garden, right? Like
Yeah.
Michael Jordan used to talk about it all the time. Like when I could go anywhere on the road, and you put me in Madison Square Garden, like I gotta go off. You know what I mean? It's the mecca of basketball. Every superstar in basketball wants to have their signature moment in the Garden. So Donovan Mitchell has this opportunity to be in the playoffs, to be able to have signature moments and also propel his team to wins. And on top of that, the revenge factor, like you said, like they could have had me, you didn't have me, and now I'm going to put you out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I still think
absolutely.
it's crazy the mystique of that arena and how big it is for never really having a true so we talk about the Knicks. They've had a couple titles, right? They played in the finals back in the 90s and lost. They had, Patrick Ewing, but then they've not been relevant in so long, but that arena still holds its value. And I know that it's for other reasons. It's in New York City. It's in the middle of the city. The way it's built, it's held, massive fights and other different types of sports moments.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it still holds its value from a basketball standpoint is crazy to me.
Josh, that's a great point. I would really love to ask somebody, as far as New York and New York basketball historian, why Madison Square Garden is the way it is. I think that's a great point. There are other teams that have had way more success in their arena, like the Bulls, for instance. Why isn't it the United Center or wherever they play now? Why isn't that the mecca of basketball? I really think it's there, or
I really think it's
or
the fact
Lakers,
that it's New York City.
Yeah,
New York City.
I get that.
And there's so much history that's happened in that arena, whether it's basketball or anything else.
Or
It's
other sports,
This is an arena that's housed Frank Sinatra. It's housed
Right.
Andre the Giant.
Ali
all of these
fights, all those
Ali fights. Some of the
Yep,
most
yep.
famous people in the history of our time have walked through that building and done something great. It just hasn't been New York Knicks most of the time.
That's a
Right,
good
yeah.
point. Everybody except those bum Knicks.
The Garden has not been Eden.
Yeah, it is not.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. That's an interesting point, Josh. How did
I mean,
how
for
did-
college
I know it's in the
basketball,
middle
it's some
of
incredible Big East tournaments.
Yeah.
It held
And-
Big East
yeah,
tournament.
it's
It's
a
had some
big-
crazy
that's a
tournaments
big
in there for
thing.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just
But,
talking
how
NBA
did it
basketball, and
become that?
you
That's
correlate New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden. You're like,
Right.
Mm-mm.
Well, because everybody else has had their signature moments against the Knicks in that arena. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, didn't Curry break
People
the
have had-
3-point record there?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. But think about all the iconic moments Michael Jordan had in the Garden, or anybody else that played in the Garden against the Knicks. They have signature moments, but it just isn't for the Knicks. The most famous signature moment is Willis Reed. I mean, him hobbling out playing in the Garden. That's the most succinct. Patrick Ewing maybe had a couple things happen there, hit some shots, but like he never brought a championship. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. But
Patrick
that's about
Ewing
it.
He played it best, hit some shots.
Yeah, he hit
You know?
some shots. You know what I mean? He did,
You're
he did
like
a-
John Stark. You're like John Stark's dunk on the Bulls is more iconic than anything Patrick Ewing ever did in the Garden.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he hit
Yeah.
some. He's a Hall of Famer. He hit some shots. I mean,
He just got fired, you know.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another piece of it too is that it's one of the arenas that still stand where like everybody else has already had their arenas replaced.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the Lakers don't have the Forum anymore. The Boston don't have the Garden anymore. You know, stuff like
that's
that.
true.
So I think that might be another piece of why it might still hold its stature.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point.
I will
don't-
say,
I don't-
like,
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
it's
Go
the
ahead, Tim.
original arena. I think the original Madison Square Garden was like down the road from it. I don't think it's always been the same building
yeah.
throughout the years.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
Did you
I
ever
think-
did you ever see the 30 for 30 when the
Yeah.
Garden was
Uh-uh.
eaten?
No. I have not. I did not know
really
that's
good.
not the. I did not know
Oh,
that's not the
Ben.
original Garden.
Ben, you got to watch that doc, man.
I
One of the
will. I'll have
best.
to check that out.
It's something, man.
Yeah. By the way, if we get a second, I will talk about Air later. It's phenomenal. All right. So, Sean, we got you here, and yours was also actually I take that back. You also had Denver as a 9 and for 9 points. You went
I did.
Phoenix, Denver, Golden State, the Lakers, the Kings, Memphis, the Clippers, the Thunder, the Pelicans, and Minnesota. On the east side, you went Milwaukee, Boston. Also had the Cavs above the 76ers, the Knicks,
Yep.
the Nets, the Heat, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Hawks. So yours was pretty, not super anything particular, but you were the highest on the Kings than any of us.
I was. Yeah, I would take them. I mean, it's one of those things where they've had such a good season. The momentum is swinging their way, and I'll be honest, I like them better than literally all of those teams below them. So, but I don't like them as much as the Lakers. Don't like them as much as the Warriors. And even though we all know that the Nuggets are a absolute, regular season team, I'm gonna put them. I don't know. This might be it for them. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, and that leaves me. So, I went on the West. I went Phoenix, and I went the Lakers at 9. And I'll explain myself here in a second. Went the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Kings, the Grizzlies, Minnesota. I had higher than you guys did, obviously. I went New Orleans. I went Oklahoma City. And on the East side, I went Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Boston, Cleveland, the Knicks, the Nets, the Heat, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Hawks. I thought for 10 minutes on the East side of my 5 and 6. I literally was on my 4 and 5. I was so close to putting the Heat because if I thought about like if it was a 7-game series, I might take the Heat over the Nets right now. And that's not a slight on the Nets. But my thought process goes back to not even as far as like, do I think the Lakers are better than the second best team in the West? Not really. But I looked at it this way. So if you look at the bracket, we all said, look, we think they're beating Minnesota. Okay. So you get here, right? Where they play Memphis. Memphis does not have Steven Adams this playoffs. So you're relying on Jaren Jackson Jr. to be the guy to guard both those players, who also, mind you, has only played about 54 games this year, has been incredible. Like the block rate is insane. But
they also don't have Brandon Clark.
Exactly, Josh.
Yep.
That was my next point. So let's say here, okay, the Lakers, I think they win that series. At that point, they play the winner of Sacramento and Golden State, and this is where it gets tricky, obviously. I think they would beat Sacramento, no problem. Golden State, all the reasons we just talked about, like Josh made that point. But I think in a situation like this, I'm probably taking LeBron and Davis in that situation. But I think the Suns are going to win the whole damn thing. And so when it gets to them matching up against Phoenix, everything I love the Lakers has done since the All-Star break, not just like the D'Angelo Russells and the LeBrons and the ADs, but the Rui Hachimuras, the Malik Beasleys, the Jared Vanderbilts, the Austin Reeves. Phoenix has Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, guys.
Do you think it's you know, that the fact that Phoenix is 8-0 with Kevin Durant in the lineup, do you think that's coincidence? I mean, we
Not at
talked
all.
about this guy he's just
No.
he's a plug and play guy. Like, he doesn't need the ball. He doesn't need that many shots. I was listening to Colin Cowherd today, and he was just sputtering off stuff. He was like, you know, he's going to get you 27 or 28, you know, 6 and 6
On
and he
9
was like,
shots.
yeah, he was like, he's averaging 26.5 points per game already with Phoenix, shooting 57% from the field. Like, his splits, he's almost a 60-40-90 guy. Like, that's how good he's been this year. And the only reason he probably won't qualify because he didn't play enough games, but he's definitely a 50-40-90 guy. And this will be like the third time that he's done it. So, I mean, at that height, to be that efficient, right? Or you're just like, if we give him the ball, we know it's good. Like, we're good here. Like, he doesn't need to. And we know that if it permits, like, hey, we need somebody who needs to take the game over. Like, I trust Kevin Durant more than I trust Devin Booker.
Yeah, I did too.
Yep.
And like you said, he'll do it on like 10 shots. So, yeah, I just think that those two teams are the teams that, and look, I know I'm betting a lot on all those guys that we just listed being healthy. I get that. But if we're going down to, we're looking at the teams who are left when healthy. Those two duos we just talked about trump everybody else. Those two duos, the Booker KD and the Davis LeBron, trump everybody else in the West. I love Clay and Curry. Absolutely love them. But they're not better than those two when they're 100%.
Unless they're
I understand
Portland.
Yeah, unless you're playing Portland. I joke all the time about, like, you know, I always say goofy things like Sean and I could score on, like, you know, like some awful center in a pick and roll. I obviously know that's not true, but I was like laughing the other day at something I saw on TikTok where someone was like, "Do you think you could throw for 10 yards in the NFL?" And Matt Leinart was like, "You absolutely could not throw for 10 yards in the NFL. You, this person right here who has no athletic ability. It's not, no. And that just made me laugh. So I was cracking about that. Man. All right. So what a real quick before we get out of here. On the other end of the NBA, obviously, we're getting close to the lottery. And this is how things are shaking out. Well, how they shook out, actually. I guess depending on how the play-in goes between Oklahoma City, Chicago, Toronto, New Orleans. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Ben, I know you weren't on the show at the time, where it was the most and least deserving Wembanyama teams. And look, we show here Detroit and San Antonio, I think, make great Wembanyama teams. Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Victor Wembanyama team, I'm watching every night on League Pass. Every night. San Antonio, obviously, a franchise organization. We know what they do with it when they get star players. Houston, no, please don't. Charlotte, please don't. Please don't.
They really don't deserve it.
Yeah. Portland, we've seen this too many times.
Nope.
But then the Orlando Indianas, those are the two teams that I'm like, can one of them win? Can one of them win? Because Paolo and Victor would be so fun. It could be like Vinny and Shaq. But can you imagine Tyrese Halliburton
and
Ben Mathurin and Victor Wembanyama?
Oh yeah.
We'd get a ticket package.
Absolutely.
It's a business expense.
Absolutely.
You know?
We'd have to. We'd have to.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be incredible.
Yeah. Dallas, please don't be the team that jumps to the top 4. Please don't. Yeah. But
man, how would that would definitely work out in their favor, huh?
Yeah, wouldn't it? I can't believe that Detroit not only won the lottery, as far as the odds, but by 5 games.
Oh yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, when is the actual lottery pick?
I think it's normally during the conference finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me check real quick. I'll get the date for you. As long as my phone doesn't.
Ben, while he's checking, I looked it up. Madison Square Garden was
May
moved
16th.
in 1968.
Oh wow. Huh.
May 16th.
May 16th is the lottery. Okay, so we're about a month away. Ben, who do you want to see win it besides the obvious being a Pacers fan?
I I would either love to see Orlando or Detroit. Like I just think that, and I've put tweets out before about how much I like Detroit's young roster. They just they have guys that aren't healthy right now, but man, you add him to Detroit or you add him to Orlando. Now Orlando would be just crazy. That would be insane.
Tim joked
like,
about Detroit having an all center lineup.
Right.
They would.
I think at that point, Wiseman would probably be traded, but
yeah, he would be.
Back at Golden State.
Orlando would be incredible. That would be incredible.
Wembanyama and Paolo would be the new Penny and Shaq.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't not as far as like the type of player they are, but the hype. Oh my God, the hype.
Huge. Yeah.
The song would be back, you know?
Well, and we're forgetting about Franz Wagner, man. Like
Jalen Suggs was better his sophomore year.
Those guys aren't any slouches at all. This is
Marquez
really fun
Fultz is
team.
freaking coming back strong.
Fultz,
Cole Anthony's playing well. Like that would be a fun team.
Yeah.
I feel like Orlando is going to end up with Brandon Miller, and we're going to start seeing like what they can be.
Yeah.
Because you put another really good shooter next to Franz with Markel, who's a really good passer, and Paolo. That's I'm excited about that.
Sick.
Yeah. Well, dudes, hey, like we said, it's playoff basketball, so this show had to go a little longer because we had so much to break down. This was really, honestly, I don't say this lightly, one of my favorite shows we've ever done. I think this was tremendous. I think it was great content. So thank you all so much. Hey, if you tuned in, whether it was on YouTube or you subscribed to our YouTube channel, obviously, or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, where you gave us a 5-star review, or you went to our website at 40minutesbasketballnetwork.merchmate.com and bought some merch, we just want to say thank you. It means a lot. Please keep an eye out for the next episode of Prince of Hoop with myself and Trenton Flowers. We're going to be talking about a few different things. We had some really bad technical errors, so I had to take down last week's episode, so I'm trying to fix that. And then also check out At Large Bid on our college basketball channel. A lot of big announcements coming up on that as well. So check out everything we're doing here. It's big time. This is me on behalf of the team. Have a good night and enjoy the first week of the postseason. We'll be back soon.